We're now going to switch to phone. It's okay. Go ahead and hand him the phone. We had the phone as a backup. But the bigger issue was that I had to start. I said, I'll do the Heimlich, because I had that in swim team, like the half-day course. I didn't have the full certification. But I put my hands under, her rib cage right there in the bread basket, and a couple of heaves, and a big piece of bread came out. Do we have Gerald back now? Okay. Well, luckily, we got 40 more minutes here, and I skipped this break, so we'll pick up the time we've lost here because I want to get into his trends and where he sees the economy is going with Gerald Celente. But again, ladies and gentlemen, it is not heroic to save someone who's choking. She would have died if she was turning blue. I just been in the bathroom 2 minutes when I came out. If no one would have called... if no one would have helped her and just called the police and waited for them to get there in 5 minutes, she would have choked. I mean, it's just chanting like parrots. Call 911. Call 911. Call 911. Call 911. And that's what our society has turned into, is just totally domesticated people. All right, Gerald Celente, we got plenty of time. I skipped that break. Three's the charm. You're back with us. So you start doing the Heimlich on the person. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then, all of a sudden, food came flying out of his mouth. He was choking to death. He was nearly blue. And then we found out there was a doctor in the house. The doctor was afraid to get involved. And that's what's going on more and more. People are afraid to get involved. They're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to regain their dignity and respect. And that's why people are following their leaders. We're in these times of survival. People should be in survival mode, and they're not doing it. They still believe in hope and change, and they'll make a million excuses as to why they're not doing what they should be doing.
It's like the lottery ticket syndrome. Instead of going out and getting an extra job or, becoming an entrepreneur, people really think they're going to get a lottery ticket and that's going to save them. It's that perceived hope.
Exactly. And again, they're buffaloing the people. I was listening to Bob Chapman and yourself about the moronic media that we have that keeps telling people everything's okay. They keep rolling out these Wall Street shills that are selling things and telling people to invest. I mean, you have to be out of your mind, I believe, to put a penny into the equity markets. What imbecile doesn't see what's going on? Black pools, high-frequency trading, insider trading, Madoffs and ripoffs. Any rookie out there that thinks that they have a shot in this game is like the person that's playing the lottery, thinking if you're in it, you could win it.
The only group winning is the casino. Gerald Celente, I want to now, in the time we've got with you, break down the trends. You've been right about the economy, spot on, where it's going, what the big predatory banks are doing. I want to talk about where the economy's going in your trends, the resistance by the people, more and more riots worldwide. You predicted 3 years ago, more and more, big violent demonstrations in California yesterday. More people lose everything. They lose it, as you say. Shootings going on, people flying airplanes into buildings, whether it's staged or not, stuff is starting to get crazy.
Alex, I've narrowed it down to 6 simple words. Princeton, Harvard, Yale, bullets, bombs, and banks. That's all it's about.
Say that again.
Princeton, Harvard, Yale, bullets, bombs, and banks. That's the whole game wrapped up in 6 simple words. And they're robbing us blind, and they're sending us to our death. And you just look at the history, going back to Woodrow Wilson, that president of Princeton, who put us into the Great War that every historian worth a nickel knows was the most unnecessary war of the 20th century, to the wars following from the Yale Clinton group, the McNamara group, the Ivy League boys they're running the country, they're running the world, they're running the banks, they're running the military. And so what's going on now is they're just trying to keep this game afloat. And it's a worldwide game. They're dumping in stimulus money from China to India to Australia, UK, South Korea, Japan, U.S., you name the country. All they're doing is printing fiat money to keep the Ponzi scheme going. Excuse me, Ponzi was a piker. Let's call it a Madoff scheme to keep it going. So the people that think that there's going to be a recovery are going to be they're going to be thrown out into the streets. The real estate market is not recovering. The unemployment numbers came out today. They're applauding that they weren't as high as they believed they were going to be or predicted they were going to be. We have to create 1.5 million jobs a year just to stay even, and they're jumping up like trained seals, clapping their hands, saying it wasn't as bad as they thought it was. Jobs are not being created. They're being lost. We're going to see the crash of 2010. Greece is the canary in the economic mine shaft, and they're only the small player in it. Everyone's yelling about Greece. Oh, their GDP is 13%. Excuse me, their budget deficit is 13% of their GDP. It's only supposed to be 3% according to the European Monetary Union. Hey, what is it in England? Oh, about 13% budget deficit to GDP. And what is it in the United States? Oh, about 11% of budget deficit to GDP. This is a global sovereign debt crisis that's not going to end. And our greatest fear, Alex, is when all else fails, Princeton, Harvard, Yale, bullets, bombs, and banks.
Absolutely. What's the word on war from your research? It looks like an Iran attack is moving towards the front burner again.
It is, and they keep pushing it out there and pushing it out there. And we've said this over and over again. If anybody invades Iran, it's the beginning of World War III. These are the Persians. Like them or not, whatever your agenda ideology is, put it on the shelf, folks. The Iranians fought the Iraqis for 8 years. Remember Donald Rumsfeld giving Saddam Hussein those golden spurs to keep riding that war further and further into Iran that the United States was a proxy in? Well, the Iranians didn't give up 1 inch of territory, lost nearly 1 million people, and they're not going to go down if Israel or the United States attacks.
And now they've got 20 times the weapons that they did before.
Exactly. So that's what we're concerned about.
Unbelievable.
Oh, by the way, we're also concerned now about another blow-up in the Middle East with Israel and the Palestinians. There is no peace plan. The conditions are worsening in the occupied territories. The Israelis are continuing to take more and more settlement property, Palestinian property, and now there's talk about demolishing more homes. There is no freeze on settlements, so we're concerned also that something might happen there that will spill over into Lebanon, even possibly Syria, and spread throughout the Middle East. These are all probabilities that are growing concerns.
Shifting gears to domestically, taxes on food, multiple states every week are passing laws. It's come out in New Mexico, New York, that of course there are quotas, and they're raising them to arrest people, to give tickets, even innocent people. Meanwhile, illegal aliens have been told they're above the law in 800-plus sanctuary cities. You've got the health care plan saying it's going to seize unions' money. They're talking about the banks are saying we may hold your money for 7 days. Your money markets aren't insured. The looting going on. What is the elite thinking, and what are the people going to do? 3 years ago, you predicted the Tea Parties. Now, where do you predict all that's going? We'll talk to Gerald Celente, top trends forecaster. Straight ahead.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.